What's up everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Keanu Visuals podcast. Today we are diving deep into the world of content creation. We will discuss everything from starting a personal brand to creating professional social media content, community building to the future of AI in content production. And what makes today even more special is our legendary guest Roberto. He's not just any content creator, he's the genius behind the AI app Luna AI, boosting over 100 million downloads with his apps. Roberto's expertise spans across diverse fields, from creating successful brands to building companies, social media pages, and communities. Join us in this thrilling episode as we share secrets, stories, and provide insights that will transform your content game. Let's kickstart this journey together. Yo, Roberto, what's up? Thank you for joining me on the podcast, man.
Man, dude, it's my honor, man. I've been following you for so long, admiring all your work. So excited to talk. And also, man, hopefully I could learn some stuff from you and get some of your techniques.
Likewise. And I've been following your journey for a while now. And yeah, you have so many things going on. Luna AI, over 100 million downloads on the App Store, your personal brand, managing multiple companies, a podcast, building social media pages across all platforms, delivering daily high-value content on them. And on top of that, you're a passionate photographer, you're a filmmaker, you have a family, you have friends, man, and I'm sure I've missed something, and I apologize for advance. So my first question is, probably on everyone's mind right now, does your day have the same 24 hours, or did you just have cracked the metrics, man?
Man, you know, it's fun enough, people ask me for like productivity tips, and I'm like, I'm actually not very productive. Like I need to hone in a little better. Something that I started doing is that I think is a hack, actually, is pen and paper to-do list. I think it's way better than anything digital. But yeah, man, I got a lot of things going on, all things that I love and enjoy, right? And so it doesn't feel like work necessarily a lot of the time. But I am at times spread a bit too thin. So this year has been a concerted effort to kind of like sort of consolidate and just focus on like the two things I love most, which is product and content. And really everything else I'm either trying to wean off or, just again, like consolidating my time, especially with the kid on the way. And I love content and I love building product. Those are the two things I want to do for, the foreseeable future.
Wow, that's amazing. Congratulations, man. Let's give the viewers some background information about you. Maybe some key points. How did you came to this point where you are right now?
Yeah. Man, I have a kind of a interesting story. I first of all, I was born in Venezuela. So in South America, I came to this country when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Been living here ever since. I grew up in DC, then I moved to LA, now I'm in Charlotte. And actually it's funny because I consider myself a bit of a late bloomer. Like this is something that I want to have like in my central kind of message is, being able to like share my mistakes that I made like as into my late teens, early mid 20s with young people as well, because I didn't really start, man, until I was like 27, and I was like pretty lost in my early 20s. I went to a school called Full Sail. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's a school here in the US. It's like for music, creative arts, design, etc. And I studied music business, had an internship at Interscope when I left school, and didn't turn into a job. And I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And it took me about 6 years to figure it out, right? And those 6 years, I was just trying everything. Like literally everything you can imagine. I learned probably every creative software, learned like to code, design, like everything you can imagine, man. YouTube University, that's what I call it. Cool. And then I realized my real passion was in building products and creating content. But at the time I was creating content, really for the last 10 years, I've been creating content under faceless sort of media brands, a lot of them on Instagram that I've since sold. And just this year was really when I said, you know what, I want to start making personal content. It's something that I've always wanted to do, and I've just put to the side and for no good reason. And so this has probably been the most fulfilling year of my life, man, doing that, because I realized like this is something that I've been wanting to do. Yeah. and I enjoy it a lot. And like I love to kind of like educate and just talk about everything that I learned along the way, along the journey. And so it's been great, man. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
I relate to that to 100%. I started my personal brand in last November when we moved to Thailand. And since then, I always had like, I didn't have Instagram pages, but I produced videos or like trailers for other people, right? So I was like always behind the camera, and it's so exciting to go out there first, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Dude, that's crazy. Because I thought, like, the way that you just present yourself and carry yourself online, it's like, this guy's been doing it for a decade. Like that, I didn't know you were so new to the game.
I'm so new.
How did you, and not to like interview you, but how did you learn everything you learned? Because you're one of the, like, your techniques I have not seen before, man. They are like, you know, paramount. They're top class.
Thanks,
so
man.
how did you get into the editing game?
So into the editing, I actually started 5 years ago because I was doing an internship, and it was so much free time there. My boss, he had so much else to do. And when we didn't shoot, I was actually just by myself. And the turning point was actually starting watching YouTube videos. And it just got me soaked in. So I get inspired by Sam Colder for sure, like these transitions, inventing new stuff, just the look and the feel that you can transport in the video. It was magic to me. And then I just started. And since then, of course I did some courses, and it's really important to see how other people edit, but you can find everything on YouTube, man. You just have to put the extra mile in there. It takes you longer to get there because you have to find the right tutorials. It takes sometimes forever, and that's why I think courses are amazing. I had the profit of other people creating tutorials. And so, and as soon as you get to your point that you understand the software, that's really fun, because then you can start creating what's in your mind. It's so much fun.
It's awesome, man. Yeah. And to your point, it's interesting because, like, I do think you can learn anything on YouTube, but sometimes it does take a little more time. But when you're coming up and you don't necessarily have the money to buy like the courses, YouTube makes a lot of sense. But now that I have the more resources to buy courses, I want to learn two things this year. I want to learn DaVinci Resolve like really well. And so I was even thinking, you mentioned Colder, I was even thinking about buying his course on DaVinci. Why not learn from the best? And then
exactly.
And then Framer. I've been using Figma. I kind of wanted to switch to Framer, which is a design tool. And there's a guy named Traff. I'm going to shout him out. He's one of my favorite designers, and he's got a course on Framer I just saw the other day. And so I might get that as well, because I do think, like, if you want to learn, the best way to do it is a course. But obviously, if you don't have the means to purchase one of those courses, and everything's on YouTube, man, it just takes a little more time to track down the good information. Do you have a course, by the way? I would buy your course, dude.
I do.
Oh man, let me. Okay, like, link it to me after link it down below somewhere.
I do link it, but the thing is, it's in German. You just have to learn German for it, because I started in German. I created German tutorials first because I was like, okay, this English filmmaking niche, there's so many experts out there. I don't have any space there. So this was my first, like, the mindset where I started with. And then I came to Thailand, and I had no content because I was producing my German masterclass, the filmmaking masterclass. So I just translated the German videos just with a new voiceover in English. And then it started popping. Like, it was crazy.
So that's why you switched to English. You thought it was just a bigger market, a bigger addressable market.
I just wanted to recycle content at first. It was just like an accident, actually.
So now do you produce primarily in English?
I completely switched to English. I was like 10, 20x of the viewers I could reach,
of course,
comparing German to English. And that's what we can talk on right now. So I actually have the question for you, because a lot of people, they're just consuming content on Instagram, whatever social media platform. Why do you think is it important to start right now to build your personal brand, no matter what business you are in?
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, I think it is the opportunity of this decade, and I think there's no better time to do it, which is funny because a lot of people think they're late to it, and they say, oh man, Instagram's been out for this long, Facebook for multiple decades almost at this point, Twitter, it's like, it's too late for me, right? Like, people really feel that way. But my rebuttal to that is, like, listen, modern algorithms nowadays actually level the playing field to the point where it's like, it's all about now effective content. It's not about your following. So you can go on TikTok, you can use Reels, you can even go on LinkedIn, which has a lot of organic pull. And you can just create good, effective, retentive content, and it's going to perform. And you're going to be able to build an audience. I think you and I are a testament to that. Really, we started our personal brands really in the last 7 to 8 to 9 months. It's like, we're actually not late.
Exactly.
There's just no better time to do it. And the reason I encourage people to build a personal brand, because building your own leverage or building your own, let's say like distribution, owning your own distribution is a superpower, and it is the ultimate leverage. Like that's what I say, because man, there's just so many things that manifest from that. It's, you know, you could either go out there, and when it comes to content, there's really two ways to make money, right? There is to build your own digital or physical product or service, or to help somebody else sell theirs. And I guess there's a third way where you can profit directly from the platform by bringing them views, but that only really exists on YouTube and TikTok in a smaller way. But so there's really only two ways. And like, if you want to accrue wealth, you know, you really want to build your own product or service, and there is no better customer acquisition strategy than your own content. But it's beyond that. Like, say you're, you know, working a 9-to-5 and you want to advance your career. Having that personal brand is actually really additive to that career, because a lot of people nowadays in the hiring process, they're going to look at your personal brand. And by the way, your social media presence is really like your resume in a way, right? Because I guarantee you, any job you're looking at, any job you're applying for, they are looking at your social media. So having a well-curated social media, especially around like a niche or a topic, or, you know, something that you really build authority in, is just super valuable, every possible way. And so, yeah, I just encourage everybody to start building their personal brand. But one of the things you mentioned earlier was mindset. I think that is more important than, you know, technique, strategies, etc., because it's not a get rich quick scheme by any means. It's quite the opposite. It requires you to kind of eat shit for years, even, you know, like it's, you know, I just started my personal brand in January, but for the last 10 years, I've been building and compounding these skills, you know, so it's not just something that happened. It was like, so man, I could talk a lot about it here, but that's one of my missions, is to just get everybody to, and also, man, it's like, it's the natural human desire to express yourself. Right. And so like, I think that's another additive thing, like being like, I love creating content because I love expressing myself. And I just think that's very inherent to us as humans. So I'm a big proponent, man. If you're listening out there and you haven't started building your personal brand, I definitely encourage you to do it.
Yeah, I think it's so much fun. I totally agree with everything you've just said. And at the same side, is it really hard work, and you have to put your mind into it. Yeah, as you said, you have to eat shit for a long time. Even I still have these days where I'm thinking, do I perform right? It's all about mindset. Is my content good enough? What other people think? And so you really have to work with your mindset all the time. I think it doesn't stop. It just doesn't stop. And I think it's really interesting that we see a shift to, like, it's, as you said, it's a resume. It's like, I think it's so important to have a good resume and show the world what you're capable of.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, first of all, you mentioned the mental hurdles. This is, to me, this is the game. Like, hey, you and I could teach people how to cut up in Premiere, how to write good hooks, how to create retentive and effective content. But it's the mindset that really, that I really kind of focus on, because I've noticed with content especially, there's usually two reasons why people don't start. One is the fear of what somebody else is going to think. And it's funny because it's usually like one or two people in your brain that you, like when I talk to people and I try to distill it down, I usually get to the point where it's like one or two specific people. Oh, it's my friend from high school. Yes. Oh, it's my uncle, you know? And so that is so sad, because there's 3 billion active users on social media, and you're going to let the opinion of one or two kind of like deter you. And I hate that. I think that's pretty sad. So like a lot of my content is revolved around how to kind of like break the mental hurdles. Cause like you said, man, that is the game. I think that is the most important component of the whole thing.
Yes. And I think for me, just to work around it and get started, that totally helps, because at first you won't maybe receive as much love or interactions as you might want, or you think your content deserves. But as soon as you realize that your content's gonna get better with every single piece you're gonna produce, and with that overcome your own expectations and not relate your values, and it's not like if your content doesn't perform, you're a bad guy.
Two things there. One for sure is the other kind of like mental hurdle that hold people back is this idea of like, oh, you're waiting for the perfect time. And I always say there's literally never a perfect time. Like you and I, like when we started, I guarantee you we weren't ready. Like there's no like that perfect time, that idea of a perfect time to start will never come, right? And so like I often see this holding people back where they're like, oh, I don't have the equipment yet. Do you have an iPhone? Yeah, that's all you need. Like, there's no excuse, right? And so the other kind of theme in my content this year has just been to start. Like, how do you become a good content creator? You start creating content. How do you become a good anything? By starting, right? And so, yeah, man, it's something that I've really just been vocal about this year, because I see so many people held back. And then come, you know, the justifications and the excuses and the whatever else. And so I'm just trying to get people to break through their mental hurdles this year. That's one of my big goals.
Wow, I love that. That's amazing. So, what would you say people, they committed, they say, okay, I'm gonna start right now, but how do I start? Like, what was your first step?
I was going to say, if you're going to start, remember these three things: reps, consistency, and patience. That is just what I preach, because you're going to need all of them. To get good at anything, you got to do a lot of reps, right? If you want to get like really big and ripped in the gym, you got to be in the gym 2 hours a day, every single day. There's no way around it. If you want to get somewhere, you know, there's a lot of variables to success, but one of the constants is hard work. You just got to put in the work. You got to put in the 10,000 hours, as they say. And the other one is being consistent, which is like you and I as creators, man, I'm sure we feel this pressure. Like a lot of these platforms, they kind of require you to be consistent, especially at the beginning while you're developing that brand, right? And that can often lead to burnout. And so understanding, you know, what's at stake, and understanding that, listen, man, this is one of the most competitive games in the world. You know, if you have an iPhone, you can be a creator. There is a very low barrier to entry. And so with that competition is going to come, you know, some pressure. But hopefully you're the type of person that kind of thrives in that pressure. And then 3, just the patience, because I don't care who you are, man. When you start making content for the first time, 99.9% chance that you're going to suck. And your video is going to be terrible.
Yes.
And it's going to take you a long, long time to learn the techniques. But again, it goes back to the reps, because the more you do it, the more you start understanding, hey, this is working. Okay, this doesn't work. Okay, the average view duration of this video is much longer than this video. Oh, okay, I understand why. And like you start learning the data, the processes. And Mr. Beast always says it. He says when people go to him and they're like, I'm not getting a lot of views. How many videos have you made? 12. It's like, he's like, don't even come talk to me until you made 100 videos. Like, of course,
he's saying 100. Yeah.
Yeah. And then having the understanding that sometimes a lot of it is luck based as well. So if something doesn't perform well, stop beating yourself up. Don't attach your self-worth to these quantifiable metrics on social media. Just get on to the next piece of content. Who cares how something performs? Use that as data. Of course, use that as data, but do not start doubting your self-worth or like hiding likes or like, give me a break, you know, just like put yourself out there, make the best content you can, go a little bit easy on yourself, and understand that it may take years, and that's just something you have to be prepared for. Yeah,
that's totally right. And yeah, but still, as you said, it's like spinning the reel every single time, right? As you produce a content piece that's, it can go viral, but there's also the chance it doesn't go viral, and it's hard to predict. And yeah, it might not perform as you wish.
And that's perfectly fine, man. I mean, I just think do the best work that you can. Really don't worry about the numbers as much as you should worry about just providing value to people, right? Like that should be content that works nowadays is content that really brings value to somebody, whether that be entertainment. It could just be funny. It could just be laughs. It could be to help people escape their day a little bit and have them, you know, be put into a better mood. It could be educational, but somehow like your videos are incredible because every single piece, I don't care if they go viral or if they don't, they bring so much value to me, especially as, you know, I'm watching your videos. Oh, that's a cool technique. Oh, that's so dope to learn how to be able to do it. So I just think that if you're going to be creating content, certainly selfish content doesn't really work anymore. Like, oh, look at me. This is how cool I am. Look at my this, whatever. It doesn't really work anymore. You really got to bring value to the end user. So just focus on that. And if you do that over time, you're going to build this reputation, and people buy from people, and people buy from people that they like and that they trust. Right. And so, for example, real quick, I just want to mention, like, for example, your course. I don't care how good like your funnel is designed or how good your sales techniques are, your landing page, none of that matters to me. I would buy your course because of you, right? And so conversely, if there's somebody who doesn't have that reputation, who has no authority, who has the most beautiful landing page and email sequences and funnel techniques, I don't care. Like, I'm buying from the person. I'm not buying because of how well the landing page is designed, as an example. So it's like, really just build that brand, that authority, that trust, and everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. So how do you think this is gonna change? Kicking out the old brands. So because the old brands, like, I don't know, like Coca-Cola or you name it, they are all, we buy them because we bought them for the past years, right? There's no relation. Right. There's like no personal branding. So what do you think for the maybe next decade? Does it gonna change something that people start buying more and more from people?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think little by little, I think this idea of creatorpreneurship, creator-led businesses is just really starting to kick off, and we're seeing it now with, like, Mr. Beast is always the best example.
Yes,
he makes the best, most watched content in the world, and his bread and butter is not necessarily AdSense. His bread and butter isn't sponsorships for other brands. His bread and butter is now Feastables, right? That is going to be a multi-billion-dollar company that gives Mr. Beast like that valuation. And by the way, Feastables is going to be one of many. He's going to rinse and repeat that same strategy and build probably 10 companies over the next 10 years. And that's just like, Mr. Beast is going to be worth tens of billions of dollars doing that. Logan Paul and KSI, another great example. The best way for them to make money is to use the attention that they're generated and funnel it down into a business that they own, right? And so, like, that's Prime. And again, like, Gatorade is this behemoth. It's like the Coca-Cola example that you made. It's like, it's been around for decades. It was Michael Jordan's drink. It was like the drink of the NFL and Dan Marino and all these guys. And like, we drink it. But now, this new generation, they go to the store, they see Gatorade and they see Prime, and Prime has that brand equity. It's like, yes. Oh, I love Logan Paul, I love KSI, let's buy Prime. Same as Feastables. You'll see Hershey's, you'll see Feastables. Which one is a kid going to buy? He sees Feastables and his favorite creator on the screen every day, he's going to go with Feastables. Yes. And so, yeah, man. No, I think this is, Ryan Reynolds to a certain degree has done it. Now he's built like several billion-dollar companies. Just he's a great actor, but he's going to make way more money in business than he does in acting. Because again, he's using that as, like, Instagram's our platform. The big screen is Ryan Reynolds' platform in a way, right? Where he generated a lot of attention. He translated that into social media. Now he's translating that attention into business. And not to go on a super long rant here, but that same model anybody can adopt, even if you have 10,000 followers. Like myself, I don't have a crazy amount of followers, but I've been able to build 20 plus products over the last 10 years, and my only customer acquisition strategy has been content. And these are products that I've built to tens of millions of downloads, millions of dollars in revenue, exited for millions of dollars. Like, content is the opportunity engine here. Like, that is, that's where all of this stuff has come from, is from creating content. And so,
yes, I totally agree to that. What do you think about platform wise? Because right now we're on Instagram, we have TikTok, we have YouTube. Of course, YouTube is paying the creator, but the creator is super important for the platform. And I think, like, talking and listening to a lot of podcasts, also from you, like, this maybe has to change, because some platforms don't pay the creators as much as they might should earn. So what do you think? Like, speaking of social token, what are your thoughts on that for the future?
Yeah, I think every platform has its own sort of pros and cons. Like, ultimately, like, on a high level, what I would say is, creator wants to be where they feel valued, right? Like, you and I want to be on a platform where we feel valued, and B, we want to make sure that they have the right product to be able to continue attracting eyeballs. We don't want to be on a platform and spend our time building an audience on a platform where in like a year or two from now, it may be like a ghost town, right? And so Instagram leans into the latter. Instagram does not pay us directly, but Instagram, like, we trust Instagram to continue to be the #1 most used, especially the Meta family of apps, now Threads, WhatsApps. We trust them to be the #1 most used apps and software in the world for the foreseeable future. And so we're going to create on them because that's where the eyeballs are. So we're not making our money, creators aren't making their money directly from Instagram. Instagram's not cutting checks to anybody, but they've done a great job building the audience there. And so you want to be there. And then, again, you profit through the third-party deals, through bringing attention to somebody else's brand or product, or bringing attention to your own product or service. And so that's why Instagram is great. I still think that I'm saying this as somebody who hasn't cracked YouTube yet, but I still think YouTube is by far and away the most lucrative platform for any creator to be on.
Totally.
By far. And so like one of my goals in 2024 is to crack YouTube and really shift a lot of my attention to that platform.
I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
I just started my second, yesterday I uploaded my second long form YouTube video. So I just started creating YouTube as well.
Oh man, I got to subscribe. I'm going to do it live on the pod, man. I'm going to do it live on the pod. Keep going.
Really appreciate it. So yeah, and also for building the community. You're a big fan of building community and really a strong community. Maybe not just people they've seen. Oh, thanks,
on YouTube. Where's the? There we go. All right, dope.
Hey, just started out. And yeah, and also there I'm trying to recycle the shorts, so uploading everywhere. I think for that topic, you can upload your short form content everywhere, right? So TikTok, Instagram, Shorts, just recycle it for people that start out, because maybe they're gonna ask themselves, oh, which platform I should start, which fits my business. I would say just upload it everywhere and see how it goes. Like some platform perform better. There's like maybe your audience which is faster, and some might take a little bit longer. So yeah, I just want to mention that.
But I think that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go.
No, I was going to say, because a lot of people that are listening to this may have the question, where should I start or how should I start? I'm actually, there's a million different answers and there's a million different variables. So first I'd start asking somebody like, what kind of content do you produce? What are you comfortable with? What are your end goals, et cetera? But in general, I say I would start with short form video content, 1080 by 1920. And the reason why is because that same piece of content can be repurposed across so many platforms. TikTok, of course, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and then you could repost it to LinkedIn, Reddit, Snapchat. I mean, every single piece of platform. So what I actually suggest to people to do is to create an account on, let's say, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Create these shorts, post them to all accounts simultaneously. Algorithm is going to be like, there's always variety. There's always a little bit of luck involved. See where you're growing fastest. And once that growth starts happening, lean into that platform 100%, right? Into the culture 100%. Of the platform, create content for that specific platform. Again, there's a million variables. And the reason why is because you want to, especially at the beginning, I think you want to dedicate all your time and focus to one specific platform. Grow from there. Once you get to this inflection point, then you can kind of like grow out, expand. And like me, like I'm really starting with Instagram and TikTok has done well. And now I'm getting to a point where, okay, now I want to expand, switch up my content, focus on YouTube, so like, but start with one platform. And I do recommend short form video just because it's actively being pushed by all these platforms right now and weighed higher in their algorithms. Yeah.
And you can probably create it faster. Because like a long form piece might take you longer to edit, and you're okay, that's a huge project. I have to create a 10-minute video. I'm not into editing. How I'm supposed to do that? A short form you can edit in the Instagram editor. They fixed some bugs and it's actually usable. So you can just start from there, right?
Absolutely. Although I recommend using a third-party editor because then you can repurpose that same clip. And a lot of people think like if you edit in the native editor in these apps, you're going to do better in the algorithm. I've found no data to really corroborate that, so I don't necessarily think that that's true. And so I would just edit if you're on phone, and you want to have something free, I recommend CapCut. And if you are a little more advanced, get into Premiere Resolve. But
yeah, totally. Let's go back to YouTube and community. I think it's super important to on YouTube you build your really true community. That at the beginning it was a challenge for me to break down like these huge effects like that usually take me 14 minutes or 12 minutes to actually explain everything in step, break it down to 60 seconds. So I think YouTube is the way, the next way, like we do it right 100%. Now, to really showcase how things get done.
I think you drive the attention with short form, and your long form content is really where you're developing like this relationship with the audience, right? And really kind of like building their affinity and trust. And listen, I mean, like this podcast is a testament to that. I watch your videos on short form. This guy's super talented. What an incredible editor. I don't know a lot else, right? But like now I'm talking to you long form. I realize you live in Thailand. You have a son, and I'm like, I'm closer to you now, right? Like have more of a
you're right,
right? Like and so short form is really ineffective at building that community, at sort of building that trust, because a lot of it, man, is like what's beneath all this is storytelling, man. You know, as humans, we really love the story behind the art.
Wow.
Right?
Yes.
Art is great, but why is the Mona Lisa worth so much? Right? If that was painted by a modern guy today, if it never existed and today somebody painted it, nobody would care, right? The reason why it's worth so much is the story behind it, right? And it's been passed down through so many. I mean, like when it comes to art, this is how I truly feel. A lot of the times there's a story beneath it. And so it's the same to me for creators. You know, it's somebody, you're watching Casey Neistat every day. Why did it work so well? Because he really brought you along with his story. And you really got, like, I feel like I know Casey Neistat from so many years watching him, you know, even though he doesn't know anything about me, like, which is,
Yes.
But that's the magic of long form, man. You're really able to, you know, that's why I love podcasts. You're really able to kind of get to know somebody. You're kind of in their brain, and short form is just ineffective at delivering that. But short form is phenomenally effective at driving attention. So if you're able to then take that attention to long form, that's a winning formula.
I have Instagram for, I think, 10 years. And I had 1,800 followers last November. Same account, everything, nothing changed. I was just posting of me. I did not understand the platform at all. So as soon as I switched for the beginning, so first of all, you have to provide value to get attention, to catch people's attention, and they might start following you. You can start growing audience, and at certain point they might care about who you are. So that's just the truth, right? So do the steps in the right order, and you're gonna make it.
Yeah, and if you bring people value to their lives, you know, just as a natural byproduct of that, man, people are going to be like appreciative of you. You know, like I follow a lot of people who are consistently, like yourself, putting out great tutorials or great advice, and like my life is literally improving because of it, because of the content. Like either I am entertained and somebody's making me laugh and I'm happy, or I'm learning to be able to advance my career. Like if you bring value to somebody, they're going to be subconsciously even appreciative of it. And then they're going to be a little more curious about your story, about your life. And then when you have products for sale that are good quality products, they're going to want to support, you know? And so, yeah, man, I think ultimately really like if I had to distill this entire like, podcast on like a personal brand, ultimately I would say bring value to people, bring value to somebody. That's really what your focus should be. Everything else falls into place. Yeah,
that's what you're doing perfectly. I'm always your content because you're such a nice guy. I'm always up to date. I always learn something new. And I actually found you, and it's entertaining. I actually found you through the, I think it was a Kanye video. You did with the song.
Man, that one went crazy.
It was so good. So let's dive a little bit into AI. I'm super curious about your thoughts. So from now on, so you're getting kid, right?
Yeah, man. I got a kid on the way. Yeah, I got a daughter on the way. Yeah. Any day now too, man. I might, you know, if I get the text, I'll have to cut the podcast short. Okay, we're going to the hospital. So
what do you think? In what kind of world will they grow up? Like from 5 to 10 years, how do you think is going to impact us as society?
Well, it's really kind of hard to predict. I'm usually I like making predictions because I think it's fun and I like looking back to see if I was right or wrong. Probably most of the time I'm wrong, right? Because it's very hard to predict what life is going to be like in 10 years, especially now that we've entered sort of this era where the advancement of technology is like exponential. Like just every year it gets a lot crazier. And so it is pretty hard to predict. I will say, like with AI in general, I'm an optimist. And I think just like with any innovation or technological advancement, there's obviously perils. There's always dangers, right? And so I think it's very important to like, one of my themes in content is to like kind of educate people, because I think knowledge is power. And if you have the information, you're less susceptible to like really be harmed by the dangers of some of these technologies. But I also just think it's a great opportunity. And I know, maybe it's blind optimism, but man, like AI, I just think can make us so much more efficient. And I think we can produce better quality in our craft, in our works, more efficiently. I think it'll certainly replace some of the menial tasks. And I understand why that drives fear to people, because it will kill off some jobs. You know, but this is innovation. This has been technological innovation for the last 100 years. There's always new jobs that replace the jobs that are gone. But you know, if ASI or AGI, which is artificial general intelligence or artificial super intelligence, if that does come to fruition in the next like 10 years, like some of these renowned kind of researchers, AI researchers are predicting, that does change everything, man. And then like everything that I'm saying right now has to be kind of revisited, because that would be a monumental shift in humanity. And so I don't know what to expect at that point. But AI as it exists today, I'm an optimist, and I think it does more benefit and more good for our lives as a society as a whole than a detriment.
It was actually a really broad question. So yeah, really, really good answer. Thank you. What AI tools do you use for your content production? Maybe some people can also implement them into their workflows.
Sure. So I use mostly AI at the moment for copywriting. I also do some image and video generation for, just content covers for Instagram. I still run some faceless media brands, such as like Metaverse as an example. The second D is a 3. And on those pages, sometimes instead of going to like Unsplash or Pexels and getting a stock photo that everybody else uses, I'll generate a photo with AI to make that post awesome. A little more unique. I use it for a lot of B-roll, mostly for copywriting. And I will plug, like I have this startup called Aluna.ai, and it kind of exists right now. It's sort of funny because we're a team of 4, awesome group of guys, love them all. But we're kind of like reverse engineering and building, like I want to build out a product that solves all of my pain points. It's like right now we're about to ship a product called Pulse, because one of my biggest pain points as a content creator sometimes is ideation, is understanding where the attention is. I think if you follow the attention, you're also following the money in a way. So we built this new product for, you can choose whatever category you creator are, and we're going to give you the highest. We have like exploding topics, Google Trends, Google News. We have like a lot of APIs in our own proprietary algorithm where we're attempting to give you like the top 10 topics that are pulsing, that are trending in your niche. And then from there, you can generate scripts, generate content, B-roll, images, etc. But I am building out sort of the generative AI tool that is perfect for my flow, for my process, for my workflow. So hopefully that'll, in due time, that'll resonate with other creators as well. But I would say copywriting, script creation, ideation. These are the things where AI is really, really helping me a lot. And then also supplementing me with unique imagery that, like when you go to, I don't know if you know Unsplash or Pexels, like the free stock image sites. Yeah. You grab a picture from there, you kind of now look like every other product. Everybody's using like the kind of the same imagery. So AI allows you to be a little more unique. Yeah, B-roll too, man, 100%. And so that's going to be huge, by the way. Like we're not there right now, but give it a year or two, AI video is going to replace. I'm so excited. It's going to be crazy. Yeah.
It's like, I imagine like a scenario where you have Adobe Firefly and it's actually analyzing what we are saying right now on the podcast maybe. Yeah. And you have maybe Runway generating the image we may be talking right now. So you could watch a podcast and we just upload it. It's get cut down, and you see B-roll on top. So it's more fun for the viewers to watch. So
absolutely, man. That's crazy. Exactly what we're trying to do. It's going to take us a couple of years, and we obviously don't have the money that Runway and all these other companies have, but we're up for the challenge. But basically, it's that where you're going to generate a script, and it's also going to give you B-roll and all the content that you may need for that particular script. So that is what I love about AI, man. Yeah, like in 2 years, we'll run this through some tool, and it'll autopod. It'll auto clip it. It'll generate some B-roll to put over top, and you can choose whether to use it or not. It's going to get really exciting, man. It's just, again, it's going to make our workflows as creators a lot more efficient, and it's not going to replace us, because that's the thing about AI. Like I'm a stalwart when it comes to this belief in human creativity and our ingenuity and our spirit can never be, I'm not ever going to say never again when AGI comes, but in the next 10 years, let's say, it's not going to be replaced. And I actually think it's going to make us more valuable. The reason why, AI is going to create a content automation workflow where everybody's going to be pumping out crazy amount of content every day. And what's going to happen is it's going to be so stale. And there's going to be this point when the novelty wears off, where it no longer works. And what does work is being able to stand out. And that's where guys like you and I can come in. That's where the human ingenuity can come in. So I think it's an opportunity in every which way you look at it.
And that's why it's so important to follow you, to be up to date. So everyone now follow Roberto. So he's always up to date, and to know what is going on. So you have to see what tools are available and actually just try them and see if you can profit. I mean, if you have one podcast editor, for example, and he's doing podcasts all by hand, every single cut, everything, no other tools used, he can do less work than an editor who uses tools, AI tools, which saves him so much time. So either he can like make the podcast way better by adding more high value, lower thirds, graphics or whatever to stand out, or he can serve so many more clients. Either way, you're beneficial if you use the tools.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you said something that I think is important too. Like, people are worried about losing their jobs to AI. This is kind of like a more common mantra now. I hear it all the time, but like, AI really will not replace you. What will replace you is the people who know how to harness it, the people that are using it.
Word.
Say you're a marketing professional at some company. It's like, you know, if somebody comes along and really understands how to harness AI to create more output and more quality output for that company, you're going to get replaced by that person. It's just the way it is. And I think, you know, this isn't anything new, right? When the computer first came out and Excel and Microsoft Office first came out, you really needed to understand how to use it if you wanted to stay competitive in the workplace. And so this is just, this is another one of those things, man. It's an extension of what we've seen already a million times.
Super excited for all the extensions that will come. It's crazy. It's developing so fast. So from there on, I think maybe content in general will maybe change in the next year. So with the Apple Vision Pro, what are your thoughts on that? How is going to maybe change how we create content? I was sitting in our studio. How are we doing this podcast? So I think that's a next big thing that's coming.
I'm really excited for that. I think the Vision Pro is his big inflection point, right? Like, I think what Meta's been doing with the Quest has been great, but the Vision Pro is really a leap forward. And I do think that I'm going to try to get it. I don't know if I'll be able to or not. It's like highly limited supply. And I know a lot of people that I've talked to are going to try to buy it to keep it sealed as a collector's item because they think that'll grow value long term. Yeah, so there's really not going to be that many of them out there. I'm going to still try to get it just because I want to experiment. I've been building on iOS, me and my team, for a long time now, and I'd love to build you know, some sort of app or platform or experience for the Vision Pro. I don't have any ideas yet. I'm also going to be buying. Do you shoot Canon, by the way, or Sony?
I'm Sony.
Sony, okay. Well, I'm shooting Canon right now. I'm thinking about going over to Sony, maybe a different conversation. But I'm also going to get, they have like this really cool VR lens that I'm going to get because I want to start creating content for that environment. So people can consume my content in my studio in the Reality Pro. I think that's a great opportunity for you as well. But I do think that it is still, let's say, 4 years away. I think the form factor of these things have to get a lot better. But I do see a future, probably this decade, where they're going to be kind of like glorified sunglasses, maybe a little bit bigger. The form factor is going to be really attractive. It's going to be very ergonomic. And when that day comes, man, I think I really think like computing and the way that we interface, you know, with computers is going to change pretty dramatically. And I think there's kind of going to be this always on overlay. And that's going to yield to a lot of new, you know, different behaviors. And also as you know, guys like us, like, opportunity too. Like, what can we build for that? How can we get ahead of that? So that's something that I'm thinking about deeply.
Really good point. I'm super excited for that. Like, either for like using it, being able not to click on certain buttons, just looking at them and doing a tiny motion, and you'll be so much more productive building your own workspace. It's super exciting. And also, like,
man, people say it's $3,500, but you can, like, instead of having 3 monitors, you can just throw on the thing and you have
So I mean, we buy computers, we buy gear to improve our work, to improve our workflows, to get better quality out there. So I think for us, it's equipment, right? So it makes us more productive.
And I do think there's going to be a big mixed reality wave, kind of like we saw, you know, when the App Store first came out. And there was like this big wave that lasted for like 8 years. It's almost like gold rush. And that was really exciting because, like, when you look at the App Store's trajectory, I came in like in 2012 and I started building apps, and it did really well because, you know, I was able to take advantage of the momentum. But it was interesting because the App Store came out, a lot of these gimmicky apps hit, but then like the phone started having like a front-facing camera, so a lot of apps were built around that. Then the phone got GPS, then a lot of apps were built around that. And I see the same kind of trajectory with this Reality Pro, where it's going to come out, there's going to be a lot of fun apps, experiences, Some of them are going to be a little gimmicky, whatever. But then as the headset starts developing new features, you know, these apps are going to become more mature, and there's going to be this cycle. And I'll predict, like, I don't know, 2027 around there, like there's going to be this big wave and this big gold rush for these devices as they hit like this inflection point where more and more households around the country are buying them, and they're getting more and more usage. And so I don't know, man, I'm a big nerd, like, when it comes to this stuff. I love tech. I love emerging tech. So I'm gonna figure out something to build for the Vision Pro.
You have to do that. And content wise, what do you think is going to change? How are we going to use Instagram or other social platforms? Are we diving in reality, in the augmented reality? So we're still using some tabs floating around in our rooms, or are we diving more and more into a completely digital created reality? What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see, man. I mean, like, one of the things that as somebody who builds products, like, one of my big things is, man, you have to reduce friction at all costs. You know, so I'm not 100% convinced that the social experience will change super dramatically. I think we love the way that Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, some of these other apps are designed, because it's really easy. We just open it up and tap, and we're consuming. If you got to, like, throw on a headset and then scroll, I just think it adds some extra friction, and that'll prevent it from really. And I don't know, I'll never say never, but I do think, like, it's not going to replace the way we consume social. I think it's going to just introduce new ways to consume social and new experiences. So I don't know that anytime soon, let's say in the next 4 or 5 years, people are going to be spending, like, all day in these devices, right? I always think it's like this sort of complementary or additive experience. You know, maybe in 5 or 6 years when it's just like a pair of glasses, that'll be different. But I just think it's going to introduce really new fun ways. Like you said, this podcast, like, in a couple of years, maybe we're doing it in VR, and so people can consume it. Like, we're both kind of in the same room, and people can consume this conversation front row seat at the table, like sitting on the other, you know, like, there's going to be all these cool ways that'll emerge, man. I'm excited for
how that's going to be, like, if you have screen recordings and you watch a screen recording of another VR glass, of another Apple Vision Pro, in the experience or in my workflow, what I'm doing, like, right in front of his eyes or her eyes.
Well, Vision Pro has that. Like, I haven't actually tried the headset. I just know from what I watched in WWDC, but they have that camera system, and where you can capture a moment on the Vision Pro for consumption in that format. Dude, that's going to be really exciting too, where it's like I can take a picture on my phone right now. Oh, look at my my new pair of sneakers, and I could show it to you. Or I could capture that in the Vision Pro, and you can consume it in the Vision Pro. So, like, you can kind of, like, even, it's going to be crazy. You're going to be able to probably eventually, especially with generative AI, like, figure out how to turn it, like with Nerf and some other technology, figure out how to turn it into a 3D item. Maybe you take a picture of a new pair of sneakers you bought. Maybe I could pick it up and, like, look at it in my hands, you know, like, dude, like, the possibilities are endless, and I'm really excited to kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of new jobs. We can spend much more time on creating more meaningful things.
I think so too. And so I'm definitely going to try to pick one up. Like I said, it's a bit pricey, but to me, I look at it as an investment. I want to explore, like, you know, like, how can I get ahead of this thing? Like, what are the things that can be built? And more importantly, how can content be consumed here? And how can I create content? Because I do think it's going to be, for creators like us, I think there's going to be an arbitrage opportunity where if we're one of the first people creating content for that format, for the second and third iteration of the device, there's going to be tens of millions of people joining into, like, that ecosystem, and they're going to be looking for things to consume. And so we can, again, like, there's going to be this situation where there's a lot more consumption than there is creation for these devices. And so being a creator, getting ahead of this tidal wave of consumption that's coming presents a big opportunity.
That's so cool. Looking forward for that. One other thing I want to touch on, what you were saying at the beginning, like, when you have all this content, you produce, and at some point you can easily burn out, right? So did you burn out?
I burnt out before. This time around, I don't know that I'll necessarily burn out. I do think there are some ways to combat burnout. One of the ways is to, and experiencing it is certainly helpful, because one of the things that people really should learn how to do is take breaks, even when they have high momentum, right? Even when they have momentum, because usually when people take breaks is when they burn out. You want to be taking breaks before that so you can avoid burnout. That is number one. And so where I see burnout a lot amongst creators is like, okay, like guys like you and I, we just started, we're hitting the algorithm. There's a format that hits. Let's lean into it.
Hyped.
The thing is, there's nothing goes up and to the right forever. So every technique, every format, every subject matter, AI is a great example. AI is probably peaked and it'll start like fizzling off, right? And so what happens is people lean into like these momentum shifts really, really hard. And again, nothing goes up and to the right forever. So their numbers start weaning off and maybe even declining. And the follower count stops erupting and it kind of starts stagnating and maybe even declining. That's when burnout happens, because people fall in love with the growth, with the numbers, with the metrics. And when those numbers aren't hitting anymore, they get very discouraged. And so another way to avoid this is like, if you're going to create, do not create for the numbers. Because again, even if you're really successful, even the top guys talk about this. Like there is a point where Casey Neistat stops growing, 30,000 subscribers a day and it stagnates and it levels off. This happens to every creator. And so really, you got to love it. You really just have to enjoy the process. You got to enjoy the journey. And one of the things I've learned about entrepreneurship, man, I've failed a ton and I've had a lot of successes. And like, I'm going to have a lot more failures and a lot more successes. And so really understanding that it's just like anything else in life, man. It's ups and downs, it's ebbs and flows. And so really falling in love with the process, whether things are going good or whether things are going bad, is critical, is a must.
Yes.
And then another thing I would say about burnout, I think when you're doing it in service to yourself, you're more susceptible. So if you're doing it, I want 100,000 subscribers, I want $1 million, I want this. It's like, it's sort of like these selfish goals that I think increase the chances of burning out. Whereas if you're doing it in service to others, and I think like you having a son and me having a daughter on the way really help with this. It's like now like there's a greater mission than ourselves, right? We're like trying to fulfill a greater purpose. I think that'll, like, we can't burn out anymore, man. We have families, we can't burn out, right? And so it's a little bit different. And I also just think, not to go on a super tangent, but I also just think that in life, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your relationships. The quality of your relationships depends on the value that you could bring to those relationships. And so, succinctly said, I think living in service to others is like the greatest fulfillment that you can have in life. And so I think the same thing with your content journey. If you can do it in service to others, whether it be family, whether it be a higher purpose, higher power, or whatever that may be, I think it'll also prevent it. There's a certain like energy, a certain like strength that comes to you. And I think that also helps to prevent burnout.
Yeah, love the mindset. It's amazing. Well said. Did you grow up with that mindset, or did you evolve it over time with reading or talking to inspiring people? So how did you come up with this amazing view
my
of the
mindset
world?
has shifted a lot, man. When I was in my like young 20s, mid 20s, even like late 20s, bro, like my entire mindset revolved around girls, man. Like just like straight up. Like I didn't really care about the money. I only cared about the money if it could like get me girl. I was just like, that's it. When you're younger, it was like a lot different for me. That was my driving motivational force. Right. And, so my mindsets do shift now. I've definitely, hopefully a little bit matured. I'm still probably pretty immature, but now, I do feel like I'm in service for my family. Like some of my goals revolve around being able to help my family, being able to provide for people in times of needs, being able to elevate and lift up and educate people. So I'm not going to say like I don't desire capital. I do. Like I'd love to, I want a lot of money, but I want a lot of money now, not to impress somebody, not to impress women, not to buy cars or boats or whatever it is. I want money to be able to be in a position to help others. And another thing, like I've never even like talked about this publicly, but another thing is like recently I've gotten a lot closer in my relationship to God. And like in my 20s, I would say I was agnostic, and so I think that's also helped a lot too, is like getting closer to faith. And I think that helps drive a lot of purpose as well. But again, that's a conversation for another day. But now my mindset has definitely shifted a lot over the last 5 years, man.
Nice.
And the decade that preceded me was a lot different, motivational, incentives. So
it's just crazy when you look back, right? And you You see your mindset shifting and the priorities and values. And even when I look back to the day when I started thinking about value, what is important to me? How do I want to live?
Yeah.
How do I want other people to see me? It's so important to start thinking about that and defining it for yourself. And also I'm a big fan of writing things down. And as you said at the beginning, digital is nice. It's good to have. It's quick. You can like write a lot. And I'm not the quickest writer of writing with the pen, but it's so much more powerful in my mind if you just write it down on the paper.
Absolutely, man. I always, I got this pencil in front of me. I love pen and paper, pencil to paper. There's really no, I don't know why. I don't know how to kind of like describe it, but I just think it's more like, it's almost more like intimate, I think. So it's more meaningful, more impactful. There's more meaning behind those words in a way. So I definitely
because
agree
maybe
with
it's not that fast, because typing is like really fast and you just throw everything into the computer. And yeah, as you said, maybe it's more meaningful. Like you have to take the time and everything. That's really nice. Do you meditate?
I don't. I'm not like one of the, I don't really have like one of these like biohacking like wellness techniques. I've been like praying more, like I do meditate a little bit, but it's not like, sometimes I consume this content online. I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Like these people are hopping into the cold plunge and doing the red light therapy, then meditating and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I should be, but maybe I'm not doing it as much as I should be. But I don't know if I'd call it meditating, but I'm always in deep thought, man, and I love going on runs and walks too. And like, that's my thinking time in a way.
I'll relate with that to 100%. All right, cool. So at the end, so maybe you want to tell the people what's going on right now, what was your current projects and where they can find you and follow you.
Yeah, so I got a lot of projects going on. I guess you could just follow me at RP Nixon, RPNICKSON on really just about every social platform, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Twitter. And you can kind of, connect with me, hit me up anytime. I'm like super responsive on social. Not so much on Instagram DM anymore. It's kind of hard to, but like thread me, that's my new thing, man. I'm loving threads. And I'm actually, funny enough, we were talking about courses. Me and Digital Jeff, we're building a course. And nice. the reason why is everybody we coach privately elevates their game like overnight. They go on and like in a couple months they understand, they crack the code and they really start building leverage for themselves. And so that's going to be at unsigned.app. Or I don't know when we're going to launch that because it's not super priority right now. But it's probably by early September it'll be live. And if you go to the website, I'm sure there'll be like some early birds. I'll come to you for some course strategy on how to work that out. But the other thing we're building is Aluna.ai, and that's really exciting. We just surpassed or about to surpass 1,000 paying subscribers, and so that's going really, really well. And it's been a lot of fun to build that out. And I again, we're like reverse engineering and building for mine and Jeff's pain points, etc., because we really want to build an all-in-one toolkit for creators to produce more quality content more efficiently. Metaverse is another thing I got going on. It's an emerging tech sort of media company, and really big on Instagram and Threads especially. We also have like a really poppin' and vibrant Discord there. But yeah, those are really the three things. It's like Aluna, it's Metaverse, well, it's Unsigned, the new course community platform, and it's my own personal content that I just love doing. That's the big one, man. I call it the opportunity engine. Like everything stems out of the content. So
that's amazing. So yeah, it's really, really important to focus down on certain parts, because I have the same. I've so much ideas, and let's try this, let's do that. And
it's great. It's great to tinker, to try to build, but yeah, kind of like learn from me. I would say one of the things I'd recommend to young up and coming entrepreneurs is really to try to, it's better to focus 100% energy on one thing than like 10% energy on 10 different things. Same as a content creator, what we were talking about earlier. It's better to focus 100% energy on one particular platform and your growth there than it is to focus on 6 platforms simultaneously at the beginning. It just is, until you're able to build out more resources, perhaps a team to help you. But yeah, don't spread yourselves too thin.
Yes, yeah, amen. Totally nailed it. Thank you, Roberto. That was amazing talk. I think we got a lot of really, really professional, high value content from you.
Oh, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure, dude. And I'm going to continue following you on every platform, wherever you go, because I learn a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
Pump, man. I appreciate you, dude. Anytime.
Alright folks, that's a wrap on today's episode. I really hope you vibed with our chat and picked up some cool insights. I really enjoyed doing this session to share my journey and talk with such a talented creator. Check out Roberto, give him a follow on all his socials, links in the bio. Trust me, his content is straight fire. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. I'm super excited to know what you think. And hey, if you've got a creator buddy, share this episode now if you have learned something new today. It's Keanu Visuals here, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.